the 22nd Sunday of Ordinary Time. I want to refer to the first reading from Deuteronomy, where Moses is giving the people the law or the customs, and which will become traditions. And the reason he is giving this, and I want to read this to you, other nations who have other gods will say of Israel, this great nation is truly wise and intelligent. For what great nation is there that the gods are so close to it like our God? So they are to observe the law, to manifest the intelligence and wisdom of God. And what God is saying, this is good for you. These laws are good for you. These laws will keep you from being like the other nations. And they will say, wow, they do what's good for you. And maybe they will be attracted to the people and the traditions of Israel. And that reading sets us up for the gospel. We are returning to Mark's gospel from 5 weeks with John, and as we saw last week, some were drifting away from Jesus. Your teachings are too much for us. We will go back to our old ways, and we will have to talk about what are our old ways. But the Pharisees and the scribes, of course, are always watching and complaining. Jesus calls them to task because they have added to. And in Deuteronomy, as we heard in the first reading, don't add to it and don't subtract to it. This is what's good for you. Do these and it'll be very good for you. You're doing it because it's good for you, and God is good for you. And he gives you a way of knowing what's good for you. Do this and don't do that. Doing that, whatever the don't is not good for you. And so Jesus says, you people, you religious leaders, you're piling up more of your traditions. Why would they do that? It's very interesting in our religious and political times. Like, how American are you? How much of a fan are you of this team? Do you buy their t-shirts? Oh, you don't have their baseball hat? Oh, you don't have their underwear? You don't have what really makes you a really dedicated fan or religious person. And that's there's a human thing. We want to be authentic. And you just do that. Well, if you really want to be authentic, you do 2 of those. Politically, you only gave $10,000 to the campaign? If you were really, you'd give 40 or 80 or whatever. There's always that, I want to be more authentic. And in religion, it's the same way. And so the Jewish leaders, the scribes and Pharisees, have placed on the people new traditions, not in the law. It's not in Deuteronomy. It's not in Leviticus. There's nothing about all these practices. Of course, if you're going to be a real strict Jew, you wash your hands. Of course, it's good to wash your hands before eating or coming from the marketplace. But to do it for hygiene is a good thing. Are you a better son if your mother doesn't have to tell you to wash your hands? You just do them. Yeah, it's good for you. It's good for your companions. But to do it that makes you more authentically part of the family, or to do it this or that, I say 2 prayers. Well, the real authentic people say 4 prayers. And then when you say 4 prayers, you'll find someone say 8 prayers, 8 visits, 8 this or that. Pile it up. And what's wrong with that? To get your authenticity from what you do, and it'll never be enough. In politics, religion, athletics, you name it, there's always more to do. What Jesus is saying in today's gospel is, from your heart, the mouth speaks. From your heart, your deeds will flow. And of course, where is your heart? And Jesus is saying, learn of me in your heart. And I put aside all the have-tos and don't-dos. Be in relationship with me. I will lead you. But he says, if your heart is divided, if your heart is inauthentic, your deeds will be inauthentic. And Jesus lays them out. Listen to these. Unchastity, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, licentiousness, envy, blasphemy, arrogance, folly. Those are natural inclinations. Especially, I think, and I'd like to comment on arrogance. I will get my validation from what I do, how many I do, how much I do. And I, in my heart, when it's divided, then envy and greed, they seem all right. They are satisfying my need to be greater, to be more. And so people will say, not, what a wise people because they follow God. What a wise person because he or she follows his fallen nature. So Jesus is saying again, don't do things to be religious, to be more spiritual. Be who you are in your relationship with God. You will know what to do. You will know that thievery is not good. You know that. There's something in you, and you can be perverted by your arrogance to be deceitful, lying, unchaste. And those are not good for you. At the moment, they're good for you. And you can even do religious things. You can do 5 more of these and 8. What are you getting? You're getting your dignity, your identity from what you do, not from who God says you are through the ways of Jesus. And so it's about the relationship with God rather than the relationship just with what will people think of me? What do I think of me? What I think of me, out of the heart the mouth speaks. My heart tells me who I am. And that's the conversion. Not the conversion by doing many things or restraining from doing things. It's act follows from truth, from essence. It's who am I? And I let Jesus tell me who I am. I will know what to do. I know these things. I know unchastity and envy and thievery. I know those things. But I don't have to be governed to get my identity, my arrogance, saying, you will be even more if you are powerfully abusive and grabbing and lying and cheating. So maybe the call today, what Jesus is addressing the Pharisees, is don't add up more things and more things so that you will feel holier or more religious. No, you are who you are by who Jesus says you are. And do those things. You don't have to do more to be more. That's what Jesus is saying. So it's a return to Mark, who is converting the Jewish leaders to follow him and not just follow what people think of them.